Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
And couldn't hear a single thing before?
Nope.
All right. Okay, let me pick up from where I was at. So yesterday we had a voice call as well. It was, we introduced having a video call in that component as well, where we looked over some of the profitable wallets and really how to make use out of that info that we see there. So if you missed that voice call and it sounds like something that would be beneficial for you, it is posted in the useful info group. So essentially what that voice call was, is it was my perspective from if I was coming new to ZelfiGuru, what would I first start doing to make use out of ZelfiGuru and the tools that are available to us, and how would I make sense of it? And what other stuff do I need to be profitable in copy trading, such as needing to know how to work my bot. You know, we went over Trojan. I pulled it up and showed you guys how to do some things like limit orders and how to properly add people that you wish to copy trade. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, that is posted there. So you'll have the video that you can look at. And if you don't want to watch the video, the voice recording is there as well. So going forward, we are going to place a bigger focus on having that visual aspect as well, where we're going to do a video call. I'll be sharing my screen and we're going to be looking through profitable wallets every day. We're going to spend a little bit of time doing that. Like I said, the more you look at it, the more it's going to start to click, the quicker you're going to be able to go through them. So that's something we're going to put in practice every single day. We'll start our calls with that. Today, we're going to take the opportunity to branch and look at profitable top traders in Dexscreener. So that's something that you guys have been asking about, and yesterday I wasn't quite able to do it. I'm pretty sure I got it figured out today, so we should be able to touch on that. Now, before I open up the profitable wallets and share my screen, did you guys have any questions that you wanted to get out of the way that have been on your mind, maybe the reason you came here?
Yeah, like I got single question, it's just like, you know, kind of basic. It's just what the contracts to be checked are for.
You want the contracts to be checked?
Like what it is even, you know. I'm not sure what it is, you know.
Are you meaning to specify wallets?
Yeah, like what the wall channel for the ask for contracts to be checked. It's like, I mean.
Oh, so you mean the side channel that says ask contracts to be checked?
Yeah.
So that was something that was done before, and people would be able to post contracts to be checked. The issue is 90% of what people were posting were just wallets to be checked, and no one really was wanting the contracts to be checked. And now that we have the constant updates coming through with the profitable wallets, I think it is something that is going to be closed, at least for the near future.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna get to sharing my screen here. All right, let me know when you guys can see it. I just want to make sure we don't have any more technical difficulties.
Yeah, visible.
Yeah, you can see it, okay? Okay, perfect. Well, I'm just going to start going through some of these wallets. Some of them I'm going to skip because they're going to be too similar to wallets that we've already gone through before. And I really want this to give you guys an idea of how to not only select wallets, but how to see the information And by seeing wallets that are really different from each other, because each wallet is quite different, but we'll find some that have like very close similarities, we'll get a better encompassing idea on how to do that. So we'll just start off with this first initial wallet here. And can you see what I'm highlighting?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, so again, when we're first starting to look at the wallets, the first thing that hits us is our visual representation. So again, it's the bubbles that correspond with these numbers as we had gone through yesterday. The bubbles represent, if it's green, that means it was a positive day. They made money that day. If it was red, it was a negative day and they lost money that day. If it was yellow, they either broke completely even, or it's more likely that they just didn't trade on this day. Okay, so starting off looking at this wallet, we can see the most recent day that we have data on was a gain of 5.3. We could see the day before that they lost 2.5. And then we could see a gain here of 0.2. And then we could see another loss that was very small relatively at 0.1. But that's all the data that we have for this wallet, right? So over the course that they've been trading, even though we can have a trade that is 2, 4, 6, that was a week ago, they didn't really trade too much in between. They had 1, 2, 3, they had 3 days off. So we don't have that much data, even though they were trading in terms of the week. But that might not always be a decisive factor of why we wouldn't want to choose this wallet. Because if we have little data like this, we have 4 trading days, but on the 4 trading days, we can still see that the wallet was really good. We can say that, hey, you know what? It has a little bit of data, but maybe I'm going to monitor this wallet because it looks good and I want to see what happens over the next course of a couple days. Or maybe you even think the wallet looks good enough for you to start it off on a small buy, and then you would want to start analyzing it. So the first thing that's important to look at is obviously we want to see that they made profit, because if they aren't in a profit, or if they're in very little profits, relatively speaking, we probably won't want to consider those wallets. But we do have a wallet that was in profit. And their average return on investment was 50%. So again, if you were putting a SOL into the trade, on average, you're going to end up with a SOL and a half once you account all of the wins and losses. Okay. And then as far as the win rate goes, we have 66%. So 66% is a pretty good win rate. You know, if at 50%, that means he wins just as much as he loses. We're moving, you know, over 15% above that, is to 16% above that. There's definitely more wins than losses. But now we also want to take into account the flags, and there was a flag where it was sold more tokens than bought, and it only happened one time. But because we have such a limited set of data here, because we only have 4 sets of trading, that one time ended up being, you know, quite significant. It's 17%. So if there's only 4 trading days, let's see how many trades there was. There was 6 trades. I mean, one of those 6 trades worked out to be something that, you know, isn't exactly what we're looking for. So again, when we're talking about these flags, we don't want you to see a flag and be like, I'm ignoring that wallet completely because it has a flag. Most of my wallets that I'm trading do have, you know, 1 or 2 flags, maybe even a few flags, but the percentages are low enough where I know it's not going to affect the data too much. But again, in this case, it can quite impact that win rate, because there was 1 out of 6 tokens where it is skewing that win rate. So that's something to be cautious of as you're going through and looking at the tokens. Again, another good representation is how they're trading. Like I said before, not all losses are equal. You know, when you lose over 50%, it's quite a big hit, right? But when you're losing under 50%, you might only lose 10% on your trade. You might only lose 20%. So although we count those as the same losses, they might not be equivalent in the impact. So we can see here, there was only one token at a loss of 50% or more, 50% of less. We only see one token there. 3 tokens, so this is the largest percentage of our data, is over 2x, or under 2x. And then we have one that falls in the 2 to 5x area. And then we don't have any that fall into the 5x and above. Buys are 9, sells are 8. So on average, they're not really scaling out. They're buying and then they're selling. And average time between buys and sells, we have 2 hours 43 minutes and 2 hours 43 minutes. Yeah. So the next thing we drop down to look at is average buy sum, and the average buy sum sitting at 0.64. I mean, that's a relatively good amount because, again, I was talking about yesterday, when you're trading someone who has an average buy sum of maybe 5 or 10 SOL, you know that if they're trading a lower cap token and they're going in with 5 or 10 SOL, when they leave, they are, say they did a 2x or a 3x, that 10 SOL then becomes, 20 or 30 SOL. And if they're selling that all in one go, just like this guy is selling, it would take quite an impact on the chart. And you end up selling at the bottom of that typically. So you would end up getting quite an impact to your profits there. So that's something to be mindful of when you're looking at the average buy sum. Is it something that makes sense? If it is a higher average buy sum, hopefully it is they're trading on larger market cap coins and still making good gains there, and they have higher liquidity and it doesn't have as much price impact. That in that instance, you would still trade a coin that had a larger buy sum. So now that we went through this, I want to bring it up for discussion. Is this a token that you guys would typically want to look into more? Is it a token that you would want to add? Is this a token that you would want to skip?
For me personally, I don't have a ton of experience with this, but I like to look at more activity, it just, I think the more activity, the more there's proof. The more data there is, basically, and also the buy and sell ratio is kind of it's low, for me, like, the ROI is fairly low as well. So I personally wouldn't go with this. Right.
Okay, perfect. And it all comes down to someone's strategy, because we can see that this was a profitable wallet. The flag that it has is kind of significant, but it's not like there's tons and tons of flags. So there is a good possibility that we could still achieve close to that. And that was within 4 trades over the course of a week. So this may be appealing to someone else based on how their trading style is, right? Because although the ROI isn't very high, we talked about this yesterday, like, we were always like, it's nice to have a higher ROI because, generally on your trades, you're going to make more. To have it around 100, we're going to make generally about a 2x on the trades. Obviously, there's going to be some that are higher and some that are lower, but it's going to balance out to give us that. But having that ROI at 50%, I mean, if they're hitting 66% of the time and their win rates better, or say, for example, we saw one that was hitting 75% of the time, you might be happy if they're trading a lot and only getting 50%. Yesterday, the example we looked at was an example that did have more data, and it was a scalper, and it had, I believe, around 100 or more unique trades, and it was sitting at about 50% ROI, with a win rate that was around, I believe it was 60%. And that wallet made a profit of about 100 SOL over the course of the 30 days. So just because I like the point that you said, like the win rate's a little bit lower than or the ROI is a little bit lower than you're looking at, than you would usually look at. I agree, especially in this instance, because there's not so much data. But it can totally change when we put a different data set here. And, we have a lot of trades over the 30-day span. And we have a lot of unique tokens. And we see a data set, and it's still having a 50% return with a 66% win rate, but they're trading a lot more. So you're taking those profits, those 50% profits, a lot more. So that can skew your decision as well. But I mean, in general, for me, if this was a wallet that this wallet looks okay. Like it looks like it had a big day recently. The loss is, the biggest loss it had is only half of that big day. The other loss it had is so small, so you can see it is trying to mitigate the risk and lessen the losses here. This might be something that you would want to follow, meaning not necessarily trade this wallet, but you could add it to a wallet that you track to see how it performed in the future. And that might be a good use out of this wallet. Does that make sense to everyone? All right. If no one says anything.
Yes, it's okay, mate.
Good stuff. Good stuff. If you guys don't say anything, I'm just going to assume it makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, I'm going to assume that you cut me off here. Okay, so how many trades does this one have? Unique tokens 9. I'm going to skip it because, again, it's just a lower data set. I'm trying to find some different things here that we can look at so we can make sense of the data set changing and the ROI maybe being close to what it was before. Like, I think this is a good one for us to look at. Okay, so this one you see here, it's labeled as a scalper as well. We've talked about what scalper is many times. If anybody needs a clarification, you let me know and we'll go over it again. But you guys should all know what these individual wallets are: the scalpers, the alphas, the fresh wallets.
If you wouldn't mind, I would like to explain it a bit more, the scalper thing.
Of course. Okay, so scalper wallets are wallets that are generally trading more. It's not always that instance, because we can see from the one that we looked at previously, it was labeled scalper but didn't have as many trades. But a scalper generally is going in with a decent buy amount. This one, he's going in with a quite larger sum than the last one we were looking at. He's going in with an average buy sum of 4.48. And when you think about scalpers and you think about the fact that they do have oftentimes lower percent ROI, but they also do oftentimes have larger percent win rates. The reason because of that is because a lot of the traders that we may be looking for with super high ROI and decent win rates, or even maybe lower win rates because their ROI are so good, they're looking to take massive profits. They're looking for, at least sometimes the 2x, the 3x, 5x plus, so they're going for quite big gains. But with a lot of these scalper wallets, what you'll find is they'll go in with an amount that is significant enough that if they go up 20% or they go up, for example, let's go with the ROI of 50%, they're happy with taking profits there. Because for this guy, for instance, he's going in with about 4.5 SOL. So if he is on average making 50% of that. He enters in with 4.5 SOL, but he gains back on average 2.25 SOL. So he's still making a lot per trade. And in perspective, we could take a trader who goes in with only 0.1 SOL. They might hit a 10x, but they're still only getting 1 SOL. So even though this guy is not having such high ROI, he's still making good money within the strategy that he's using. So let's go through this, kind of how we went through the other one, and then we'll talk about if this is a wallet that would be interesting for you guys to follow. So again, we have our visual representation here. Right here, I can see there's a lot of green, and then I can see there's only 3 red. So let me quickly look at some of the green. Okay, 10.8 SOL on one day, 9.5 SOL the day before, 8.1. Okay, cool. So I know that the last 3 days he's made good money. And then let me look at some of the red to see how significant it is. And then we have 3.8 SOL, which is a smaller loss than any of his previous wins that we just looked at. The next day, 12.2 SOL, that's the biggest win we see here. But then his next loss, 3.9 SOL. And where is his final loss? His final loss is here, which coordinates with this bubble here. And he only lost 0.4 SOL. So we can see relatively just by the visual representation that this guy is doing a pretty good job at making more money than he's losing. Before we even start to look at the stats, we can see that. But now looking at the stats, we can see, his win rate is awfully high, like 82%. That is quite a good win rate. That means that if you trade 10 times, out of those 10 times, that you will typically, and again, he's got pretty good data, you would typically win 8 of those 10 times if that win rate remain consistent, right? So to win 8 out of 10 times, you're doing pretty good, right? If you risk 10 SOL, you're going to get 50% back on that. So if it was, so you risk 10 SOL, you're going to end up getting approximately 50% back of that per trade on an average of 80% of the trades, and only 20% of the trades are you going to be taking a loss. All right. First trade was a sell, happened 3 times. So that is something to look at. But remember, we were looking at a smaller data set before. Our one flag before represented 17 with one single flag, just because I think it was 6 unique trades we had. But now we're moving to 40 unique trades. So the first trade was a sell. Although that's a flag, it's only representing 8. I'm not really too concerned about that. I want to see that so I have that understanding. But I know it's really not impacting these statistics too much. And then we can move on to see how the profits are, because we always say all losses aren't equal and all gains aren't equal as well, right? So we have 2 over a 50% loss, which equates to be 5%, and then we have 5 that are under a 50% loss, and that equates to be 12%. We have 25% that were under a 2x, so he made profit. 62% of the time. So on 25 of the trades, he made profit. So that's anywhere between just under a 2x. And then we see that 20% of the time. And again, I'm looking at these numbers, but I'm also referencing these numbers, because I'm looking at the 20% where he was between 2x and 5x. So he made, quite a good gain there. That's helping his ROI go up. But I'm looking at these other numbers for his losses too. And again, it's that number, even though it's the lower part of his winnings, it is still higher than his losses under 2x, under 50%. And it's still quite significantly higher than his losses that were over 50%. Okay, So the next thing that we want to look at is, so we see the buys and sells here. For the most part, he is buying and he's selling either once or twice by the looks of this data here. You can pull that up in Dexscreener and see on an individual trade if that marks true. But I mean, by the statistics, we can see that that is quite true. So the average time between a buy and sell is 38 minutes and 38 minutes, right? So we know that this guy is now holding for about 40 minutes. So that's plenty of time for us to be able to buy and to also be able to sell. So we know we can follow this scalper. I got a question yesterday in the general chat, and it's like, I thought you can't follow snipers and scalpers. I said, well, one of those is true and one of those isn't false. We can't follow snipers in terms of copy trade them. We can use snipers for other reasons, and we can kind of track them and then enter dips, and that's a reason we still have the sniper category, but that's correct. You can't copy trade them, but you can copy trade scalpers. But the times you don't want to copy trade scalpers is when there's in and out of trades too quick. If they're in and out of trades within 10, 20 seconds, you know, it might not be something that is going to be profitable enough for you. Especially, you got to take that price impact that we were talking about into hand, and also just the fact that, you know, some of these bots, even Trojan bot, which is one most commonly used, the one I use myself, can't keep up sometimes when they're buying and selling within seconds of each other. So you might end up hitting the buy but missing the sell, or vice versa, and it just becomes not very profitable to trade, or you end up thinking it just bought and sold for you, but it didn't actually sell, and now you're stuck holding this trade, and maybe you hold it to dust. So it's important to make sure that you have a decent buy time here. And we can see with this guy, the average buy sum right here was 4.48 SOL. So again, he's buying in with a higher amount, and he's making good profits because he is buying in with these higher amounts, even when he's taking a 50% ROI. So Jenya, I know it was you who said that you wouldn't typically like to follow the wallet that we're looking at in the past. Your two reasons were, one, that it didn't have enough data, which I actually agree with you, and then two, that the ROI wasn't something that you would typically look for. But we can see with this guy, he was able to make 138 SOL. He has pretty minimal flags. I went through the rest of the information with you. So now I'm going to ask, as for this wallet, is it something that you would more likely want to watch than that previous wallet that we looked at?
Yeah, for sure. So with the additional depth here and with more data, I could see that the win rate is high, as you pointed out, and the ROI is smaller, which simply could mean that he's just taking smaller profits on his trades, and not maybe letting run, which is fine. And he did his 30 days 138 SOL, which which tells me that he's well, yeah, I guess considering his average buy and his results, it seems to make sense that he's making consistent profits basically here. So this is definitely what I would consider.
Okay, perfect.
And, yeah,
go on.
I think that's the flag. The flag is a low percentage, so it doesn't really bother me either.
Great. BD, are you trying to speak, because I think you're causing an echo. Okay. No, I agree with everything you said. BD, do you mind just muting your mic? just for now, and when you're ready to speak, you can unmute it. One sec. I just muted it. Okay, BD, if you're ready to speak, just send me a message. I'll see it. I have all my messages right in front of me. I just had to mute you just because it was causing some interference here. But yeah, I think it was great for us to look at both of what we looked at, because the first one was a smaller data set, but we analyzed it anyways, because we can learn that even because something has a smaller data set, it may be valuable in some way to us. Maybe not right now, but again, maybe we could put that guy in a tracker because he seems like he's off to a decent start and see how it is. But now we change up the data set and we're able to see a lot more of what's going on because there's a lot more trades. That's always nice to have. There's no denying it. When there's more of a data set, the ROI and the win rate that you see there, it's more proven, right? We can see that over time, it is what it is now. And we could hope that over time it would remain that way. And we know it wouldn't sway as quickly as someone who only had 6 trades. Because that guy who had 6 trades and I believe it was like a 60% win rate, he could drop quickly below a 50% win rate with just 2 bad trades, right? But this guy, he could have 2 bad trades and it's still going to keep his win rate up. And we're going to think likely that he is going to come back after his 2 bad trades and win maybe 8 times, because if his win rate is 80%, he already had 2 bad trades. We say, okay, out of the 10 trades, he took his 2 losses. He could win 8 times in a row. But yeah, the data set's definitely nicer to have. And it's also nice to see, too, that when we're looking at the ROI before, we weren't really considering him as someone that we would want to follow on that guy that we looked at previously with the lower data set. But with this ROI, with this win rate that we see here, with the low amount of flags, we look at his data, and he's doing pretty good at making more gains and obviously mitigating losses. And that obviously contributes to his win rate. And we see he has a decent holding time here. We see that he's selling in a way that isn't going to be too unprofitable for us if we have our gas up or whatever. You know, he's usually making 1 or 2 sells to get his profits. And yeah, it just totally changes our perspective on what an ROI of 50% is. Because in this case, this looks like a good wallet. This looks like it could be more profitable. This is something I'd be more interested in looking through and seeing the buys on the chart, or even putting this guy on a small amount, you know, and seeing how it works out, right? Because although I said before, you know, that guy who had around, I think it was a 0.8 SOL he was going in with, we know that guy's not going to make that much of a price impact. This guy could make more of a price impact. He's trading with a larger sum. He's trading with 4.48 SOL. That's something we also have to be mindful of too. So starting trading a guy like this, even though his stats look good, I'm seeing everything. I'm seeing the flags and I can see everything. I've analyzed everything and the stats look good. I'm still wondering how that buy sum is going to affect if he's selling it in 1 go or if he is selling it in 2 goes, and how that's going to affect my profit. But instead of jumping in fully and setting this guy up with, you know, 1 or 2 SOL and you want to go large on him, maybe you could run him at 0.1 SOL and see how that fared off. Because, you know, if you're making profits when you're running on him with the 0.1 SOL, you're going to be able to increase that to 0.5 if you'd like, or also to 1 SOL if you'd like, or even to 2 SOL if you'd like. If you're doing 2 SOL and you follow him and his price impact's not going to be crazy and he's making around 138 SOL, you may be able to get, you know, over if you're following him with half, you should be able to get over, you know, 60 SOL, even with the difference in the price impacts there. So did we have any further questions about this one, or do you guys want to go on to see if we can find another interesting wallet?
Yeah, I have a question. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. What indicators would you change in that wallet that would make it be like, yeah, for sure I'm gonna follow him? Is it the amount that he goes in, or is it the amount of time he in between buys and sells, or what things would you
So
change?
yeah, that's a great question. So the time between buys and sells, like 38 minutes isn't bad. Like you yesterday we were looking at that one scalper and he was in his trades for like 4 hours typically. Like I just, wouldn't want to have to monitor a trade for like 4 hours and stuff. And that personally I wouldn't want to do that. But if the rest of the data makes sense, even if it does take him 4 hours, if it makes profit, then it is still good to do. But to answer your question, because your question was pretty specific, what would I change to make this wallet something that I would follow completely? The flag actually isn't something that I care about. It so minuscule that, and 8%, one single 8% flag, I don't really care about that. But if the average buy sum was lower, I would probably, put this on right away and test it. And even with this buy sum being the amount that it is, there's still likely a lot of room for profits. But it's just something that I am more accustomed to or comfortable with, and know that something like this could have a price impact where I'm not actually getting his 50% ROI. I'm getting closer to a 30% ROI. But if I'm still achieving like a 45% ROI within his price impact and the slippage I need to go in, then it's still all good. But if this was a little bit lower, it would be like, yeah, I probably want to put this guy on testing. But even having it how it is at the 4.48, I mean, I can see he's making a lot of profit here over a 30-day period. His win rate's really high. I mean, probably one of the higher wallets that we're going to look at today. So even with that being said, I would be interested, if this was part of my strategy to follow scalpers, to put him on like 0.05 or put him on 0.1, and just to see how the profits come in, right? But you just got to be careful that when you're going in with these small test amounts, you want to make sure that you can get in with small gas too, right? Because you don't want to suck up all your profits in gas and be like, oh, I couldn't trade this guy, when realistically you could have traded him. It was just your gas was eating up all your profits. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. What would be a good limit as far as like when you say it would be lower, what are the values that you prefer someone buys in at for you to feel comfortable?
It's really depending, because I do have, right now I don't have a guy on who has like a larger buy amount. They're all within like a 0.2. Like I have some guys who traded quite low to 3 SOL. So this guy really isn't that much higher average buy than my 3 SOL guy, and my 3 SOL guy still makes profit. But I'm telling you, you asked me what I have on average, and on average it's between a guy who buys 0.2, which I usually double up on because I want to get more out of that trade. That's quite a small trade for me, especially with my gas and all that. But up to 3 SOL. But I have traded a guy who had even over this. Where did I find him? I found him on Maniki. I think you guys have all known about that token. If you're in the DJing space, it was like that Chinese waving cat that went to, I think, over 100 million on the first day. So I found a really great wallet there that had, good ROI and a high win rate. And he had a higher average buy sum. He went in quite large for tokens, but when I was trading him, he did pretty well. Like he definitely made me profits. It was just that he also would do quite a lot of buys and he would do quite a lot of sells. That didn't really work with my strategy at the time. I was worried that maybe he would buy too much and it would drain me if that trade didn't work out at the time. So I didn't continue trading him, but he was profitable to trade. It was just my worry about my capital at that time that I didn't continue to trade him. But this guy, for instance, we can see that he's only traded 40 tokens and his buys are 61. So on average, he may be trading about twice on a token sometimes, but most of the time he's trading once on a token. So we know that he's not usually spamming 6 buys per token or 4 buys per token, and that's something that's important to me that I look at as well. And then again, I do like how he sells because he's not scaling out crazy. Like he's not scaling out in 5 sells and eating up a bunch of gas. He's just scaling out in either 1 or 2 sells. So overall, my take from this wallet is that this is a pretty good wallet. I would run it for testing if this was something that was in my strategy. And like I said on the chat, if you were in there before, I actually plan on adding some guys like this to my strategy. Right now, I have guys that are higher win rate and higher ROI, and they're good. But at the same time, they hit a lot of times and they hit really good. But they also take complete losses way more than this guy does. This guy only took, I don't think he took a complete loss. No, there was no sells. Like some of my guys will take a no sell. They'll either ride it to if it moons or they'll ride it to the ground. But having some guys like this, scalpers who are making good returns on the 30 days are going to be definitely a good way for you to have some consistency, right? Like what we have from this guy is consistency. We have a high win rate. We have an ROI that's, pretty good. It's returning 50% back on your value on average. And we're seeing that he's making 138 SOL in a month. If I could get close to that 138, say I traded with half the value, and again, there was some slippage that occurred and there was some price impact that occurred, but I was actually getting 60 SOL from him and I was trading him on about 2 SOL or 2.5 SOL on average. And that's where I got to with him. And I made 60 SOL a month on average with him. I mean, that's a very good person to have on, right?
Yeah, I'd agree. I'm curious as far as slippage when it comes to trading, let's say that wallet, copy trading that wallet. Would you have the slippage at what percent would you think would be good versus a sniper? Obviously, you're going to put it up much higher, but.
Yeah, so that's a great question to ask. Again, as far as snipers go, we can't actually trade snipers, but if we're talking about someone who snipes a dip or like snipes right at launch and is buying within the first, 15 seconds or so, we'll consider that like a different version of a sniper, like not a true sniper, but someone who's sniping into coins. The slippage is all going to be dependent on when they get their buy off and the kind of volume that is coming on after that. So that's something we're going to actually go into more in our future voice chats and our video chats. We're going to start pulling up some of these guys and seeing some of their buys and seeing some of their exits and seeing if it makes sense from there. That's definitely one good way to do it. Another good way to do it is when you find a wallet like this and you're like, you know what, this looks pretty good. Like, I think, with all the stats and what I've learned, like, this looks like it could make me some profit. I'm going to start trading it small. If you trade it small, again, with a 0.1, for example, or a 0.05, and that's not a lot of risk to you, assuming that's not a lot of risk to you, you'll get a very good indication on how much you're bringing back off of his trades, even though you're using a small amount. So if you use it at 0.1 and, after his trades, you're getting on average a 40% ROI or a 45% ROI, and you're remaining close to the ROI that he's getting. Obviously, you're getting, you know, the same win rate that he's getting, because when he wins, you win, and that all works out. Then we know that, okay, I've traded him now with 0.1 for 4 days, and every single trade that he was in profit, I made profit on, and then the trades that he didn't make profit on, I made about the same loss that he made on. And then you can bump that up once you know that it is within the range that still makes sense for profit, right?
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So let's move on. Let's look at a couple more wallets in these profitable wallets, because I really want you guys to see like how much they can differ, and how some might be good for us and some might not be so good for us. So we're going to spend a little bit of time doing this every day, because I really want you guys to be able to go through these profitable wallets quick and be like, we found this wallet super quick, right? And this wallet looks like it has good potential. So we're like, man, I found a good wallet for today. It looks like it's good. I'm going to run it on a small amount. I'm going to look further into its buys, but I'm happy I found that. And if I didn't look at the profitable wallets, we wouldn't have found that. So I want you guys to be able to do that more with more ease here. Okay, so here's a wallet just right above it that has, let's see. I mean, initially, like looking at a wallet now, we should all be able to look at a wallet and be like, is it interesting? We can see here for this wallet, like, again, there's a decent bit of data. We can see he took a break and wasn't trading for a couple weeks here, but then he had a couple green days. One was 5.1 win and then a loss. But we look down at the statistics after, and we see he's making about 18.42 SOL in the month of him trading, and he actually did trade all month. You can see he traded at the end, and he's traded at the start. He just took the gap. But for me, like instantly, a wallet like this is a little bit less interesting. It is somewhat interesting because it's picking up the trading again. Who knows? He could have literally been on vacation this time, right? Like, and just not trading at all because he was on vacation or just taking a break from trading. But he has been trading the last 3 days, so he might be on again. But then I obviously, when I just stare at this whole thing, I instantly see the flags, right? They easily get brought to your attention with that X that's there and the caution sign. So we can see that here, having quite a bit more flags than the guy that we were looking at before, but not huge. But again, he's not making huge profits, but maybe that is because of the way that he was trading before. His ROI is 50%, so the same as the guy we were just looking at, but his win rate is 63%, which isn't horrible. But when I see a lower win rate like that, you know, we just went from an 80% win rate with a 50% return to a 63% win rate, and I would like to see a higher ROI on this guy to make up for the win rate. I can look down and see quickly, obviously his losses here. They're pretty significant, but not more significant than his gains. He's hitting no mooners. This wallet actually isn't labeled as anything, so it's pretty much a normal trader who's going in and making some trades, making good trades, making bad trades. Not a sniper, not a scalper, not alpha. Just a regular wallet who's doing decent enough for it to push to profitable wallets. But then we go down and look here. The buys and sells make sense for the unique tokens. Sometimes like he's buying a couple times, and it looks like he's selling in one go for the most part. Average time between buys, we got 15 minutes, and average sold buy is in an amount that is usually typical of my range that I'd be looking for. But overall, like, this wallet isn't too interesting for me. It wasn't too interesting for me from the start. I saw the flags, they are getting up there now. There's quite a higher amount compared to the other tokens we got there. We just looked at a guy with an 80% win rate. So to see this guy at a 63% win rate, it could be good in some instances, but his ROI is still at that same basis as that other guy. I mean, when I'm looking through wallets, I just found a wallet like, that we were looking at, that we just found together, and then we see something like this. It makes it kind of easy to just skip on this. I didn't really have to go through the information. I did go through the information with you guys just so we have another one to look at that we've analyzed. But after seeing something that looks pretty promising, this doesn't look too good to me. What were your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. The other one was much more better.
Yeah, so it doesn't mean because we find one that's much more better, if we find one that's lesser, that we can't still try to make sense of it to see if it would be something that worked out. But overall, this is just a wallet that I would skip because I know that there's going to be better wallets coming up. This next one, I'm just going to skip as well. If you guys want me to analyze them one by one, we can do that. But again, I just instantly, I do bring my eyes to the win rate and ROI quite quickly after looking at this. So although there was quite a lot of green, the green's kind of seeming a little bit deceptive to me, because that win rate is still, in the range of the other guys, that other guy who had quite a higher, the ROI is still in the range, 51%, 50% of the other guy who had much higher win rate at 80%, and then didn't have the flags either, right?
I had a question.
Yeah, go ahead, go for it.
In regards to that, you see all the green bubbles, but then you look at the win rate and it's only 56%. How is that possible when you see all green and just the two red?
Because even on a green day, there could have been more losses than wins. Right? Because he could take let's say he took 4 losses of 0.1, and then he had a win of 1.2. We can look at this number, and he still took 4 losses and 1 win. So that brings his win rate down, but he's up because his win was significant enough to outweigh his losses, right? But he's still losing more than he is winning.
I get it. So each dot is just the total combined for all the trades that he made.
Yep. So the good trades, the bad trades, and it's a combination. It spits out with his losses and with his wins. What is he up in SOL, or what is he down in SOL?
That makes sense. Thank you.
Perfect. No problem. Yeah, I can quickly just go through them if that's what works out better for you guys. But I want to kind of find some things that are interesting. Okay, first and foremost, I wanted to look at this. Snipers I'm gonna avoid. And if we want a day where we look at sniper wallets to see what ones could potentially be good, to follow, to track, to use the sniper wallets as a strategy, we can have a day for that. But my focus as a copy trader is to find people to copy trade. And I think your guys' focus for the main part of it, you want to find people you copy trade as well. So I think to make best use out of our time, I'm just going to skip the sniper wallets unless there's a time where you guys find you want to get the value out of those sniper wallets that we're talking about, and then we can have a separate day for that. Is that okay with everyone?
Sure.
All right, cool. Perfect. All right. So this wallet here, see, what do you guys think initially? Now that we know what we're looking at wallets, like we look at this wallet and initially look at it for about 5 seconds, look at what you need to look at because you know how to do this now. You can go through it pretty quick and tell me, is this something that's worth our time to look at?
No.
Okay, perfect. I agree. I would never spend time looking at this. I mean, the visual representation right here, just not showing me anything very good. And then I'm going down to the profit that he made. All these guys are going to be in profit, but it's a very low profit. The ROI is pretty bad. Well, not pretty bad, but for his instance, it's pretty bad with his win rate because the flags that affected it, right? So that's how we can look quickly just in this section alone. We don't really even have to look at this. We can look quickly on this data. Is it worth looking at? Once we look at this data, if we can see, no, it's looking pretty spotty. It's not looking like a great wallet. There's flags. I mean, his ROI is decent, but his win rate's not that great. And I know the flags are boosting that win rate, and he's only making 3.74. So like, that's just not worth my time. So let's skip past this. Sniper, we're going to pass it. Scalper, we're going to pass it as well. If you guys want me to stop and analyze one, let me know. Where are we for time? Let's see. It is, okay, so we've been doing this for an hour. I planned initially to do this for half an hour so we could spend the rest of the time learning a new way to also find wallets that some of you guys have been doing, some of you guys have been ignoring because you don't really know how to do it. So if you guys are cool with this and you feel like you got a decent bit out of this, let's look at
Amiri, I had a question that I wanted to say for the voice chat. It's not really related to finding wallets, but more to like stop losses and stuff like that. I don't know if this is the right time or
go for it, man.
Some other time.
Go for it.
Okay, so in Trojan, setting up the what do you call it? Take profit targets and then stop losses, and then applying that to the copy trading settings, like the auto sell.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about it yesterday briefly, but I'm curious, like, what's, and I don't know if there's like an answer for this, maybe more recommendation. Like, is it better to set stop losses and then auto sell, or just if it's a good trader, you just have the trader just like hand the trader over the control and then basically let them do the profit taking and the sells for you.
Yeah,
which depends on the trader, I guess, also. But like, what's yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, so what you were saying, it resonates with me because I sometimes want to get in the way of my traders doing what they're doing. And I oftentimes do just let them take the wheel. I've never set up stop losses myself because I've seen so many times where I've been down, over 50% on my trade, and I would have closed it off myself, but I kind of trusted that my trader had either some inside information on it because he doesn't take many losses, right? So I just let him go. And I had one trade that I was down over 50%, and I ended up being up over 400% on that trade and got over 4 sold for that trade. So if I took it into my hands, or I had a stop loss at 50% because I'm like, I don't want to lose 50% of my value, I would have never got that 4 sold, right? So in some cases, it can definitely save you. But in a lot of cases, I like to trust the data that I have, right? Because we have data here. We can see how often they win. We can see how often they, totally dust coins, like, under 50%, or how often that they, will salvage most of it. And if you know your guy and you've never seen him dust a coin before, and you know that if it's getting to look bad, like he's going to sell for you, you might as well trust his selling intuition because he likely has some knowledge on the coin, especially if he has a pretty high win rate, right? Like, he's not getting a high win rate because he's just an elite trader who just knows, like, oh, that name looks good, so I can go in. The guys who are getting these high win rates are connected with devs, are connected with callers. They are callers themselves. And we just happen to find their wallet and they have a high win rate because they know what's going on for the most part. Sometimes they trade from themselves, just like we do. You know, we see a coin, it looks good, we trade into it. But like most of the time, they're trading with information. So once you start applying stop losses, you're really just skewing that data, right? Because you're then taking it in control of your own hands. But I will bring up another instance today. I had a trader that I trust most of my traders. That's why I have them on. But I have a trader who got into this coin, and a lot of times I don't look at like even the Dexscreener to see if I could see the group or whatever. But I joined the group on this one, and I just didn't like the look of the token. I mean, I just didn't think it had longevity, so I decided to pull out of that coin, because first he went in with 0.5 and whatever, that was fine, but then he went in with another 0.5 on a dip, and I'm up on it by like 20%, but I'm just like, I don't see this coin going anywhere. And I skewed the data by, again, taking it into my own hands and selling. But in that case, it was actually the right thing to do. So it's tough. I mean, as far as take profits goes, stop losses, I don't know because I've never used them. I could help you guys set them up and stuff like that if you guys want to use them. But I gave you guys a reason why I don't use them, because I would have lost out on a lot of money. And this isn't just one trade. This is a lot of times this happens. When I'm down a lot, but then, you know, the trade pulls through in the next 30 seconds, minute, and I'm up quite a bit, or make big trades on a trade that I was initially down on, that if I had a stop loss, it would have just ended that trade there and I would have just taken the loss.
Yep. Right. So what does the same logic reasoning apply to preset targets?
No, not really, because especially if you're like grinding up, like you don't have a lot of soul right now and you're grinding up, you're starting from a small amount, like even if your guys are like hitting big and stuff, like, and you're taking profits early but still leaving some in, and at the end of the trade it would have worked out better if you just didn't have any like take profits on. If you're in a position where you really need to grab right now to like get your bankroll up, then I would recommend doing that. Like I've had some take profits on, I still have one take profit on, but as I become like more comfortable with the position and amount of soul that I have, I stopped doing that, and I kind of let my traders just ride it out for the better or for the worse, for the most part. But you could see in today's instance, like that a stop take profit wouldn't have went off because I wasn't in enough profit, but I did take it into my own hands to sell today because I just didn't think it looked good from my experience. So it's going to be dependent on the trader that you have, to the strategy that you want to make with him. But mostly what it's dependent on for me is like how my soul balance is looking, because if I'm like up quite a bit, and you know, by the grace of God, I have been up quite a bit for a while now, it's like I would rather let my guys hit those bangers than interfere with them, because the bangers that they hit, like I had one trade where my guy went in pretty big, but turned around at 600% on it, but he went in pretty big with like 3 or 4 soul. But it ended up being like a 21 soul pull just a couple days ago. And having like trades like that make up for all these other ones where, you know, where you're going to take some slight losses on, or like it went up and you could have done a take profit, but you didn't, and he didn't end up selling. Like it makes up for that, right?
Yeah, makes sense. Thanks.
No problem. All right. So, okay. We spent a little bit more time on this than I was planning to today. I was trying to structure it, but that's okay. Things go how they go. Okay, you guys are going to need to help me with this because I'm going to try my best to share another screen with you. We were having troubles doing it yesterday, but I tested it by myself earlier today, and I was able to do it. So let's see if we can do it again. So first I'm going to go to, probably not sharing any screen right now, right?
Yes.
All right.
You got this, man.
I think I do. You all can see what I'm looking at?
Yes.
Sweet.
Nice.
Good stuff. We're making progress, boys.
Yeah.
All right. So here's another part of hunting because, you can hunt from wallets. We can go through those profitable wallets pretty quickly, even if there's like 200 and so dropped a day. If you're going through them every day and you're like making 20 minutes or 30 minutes a time, that's how long it should take you to really go through those. Because you saw how quickly we could have skipped through a lot of them just by looking at them for a few seconds and being like, okay, yeah, this doesn't look too promising. I'm just going to go through it. But once you get through the profitable wallets, you still have time in your day, right? And you still want to say it took you 20 minutes or 30 minutes to do the profitable wallets, but you wanted to spend 2 hours and you were being disciplined and wanted to spend 2 hours looking for wallets. Well, we got to go and, we look at all the profitable wallets. Okay, let's look somewhere else now. So what I pulled up here is you can see a token that did quite well. It went into the millions of market caps. You can see even where it's at right now. It's at 134K. But this is a great place to look for, after you finish looking through the profitable wallets to find other wallets. And if you guys aren't using this already, I want to encourage you to do it because, of course, you still are going to get the representation from ZelfiGuru once you find a wallet that looks good. But there is new opportunities for you to find something that may have not been in the spreadsheet, right? So how many of you guys have already been doing this?
Yeah, that's right.
You've tried? Have you had any success with it?
Well, I looked for like in the top traders. I checked their with the ZelfiGuru thing, checked their analysis from the screener, and then I tried buying the dip after I set the alerts and stuff. So far, basically, I pretty much lost. So yeah.
Okay, so you're not using this to find traders to copy trade. You're using this to kind of figure out what to buy.
Yeah.
Okay, well, in the instance that I'm showing you guys this, like I said, I'm a copy trader first, and that I came from trading traditionally. I was trading myself, and I had good success with that. But recently, copy trading is what makes sense for me. It's making me more money. It's a little bit more passive too. I can go out to dinner tonight with my family and know that there's a good chance that my traders are going to pull in some money for me. So, like I said, I'm going to be focusing on copy trading, and I think a lot of you guys are focused on that too. If there's other things you guys want to talk about, I'm all ears for it, and I'm down to give you guys advice from my knowledge. But again, this is going to be a copy trade focus. I'm hoping I can enter a full screen and still have you guys see it because I need to see all this data so I can go through it. Are you guys still able to see it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. That's awesome. Okay, so you can see my mouse and everything too?
Yep.
Yeah, it works. All
right, cool. So the reason I pulled up this token in specific is it was a token that ran pretty hard, right? And this was just like a three day ago token. I was going to show it yesterday, but I'm like, you know what? The wallets that were profitable aren't going to change too much, so I'm just going to show it to you guys today. This was a token that a lot of people made good gains on. We can see here this guy bought $311 and made almost $27,000, or sold $27,000, made $26,500 profit. So you can see that there's people who hit pretty big. I mean, that's a huge gain from 311 to here. We even look at these guys just underneath. We see at 222, he didn't make as much, but he still made 18K from 222. I mean, you can't really be mad at that. All right, so the reason I chose this again, one, I always trade things that look like they have insider action. This definitely looks like it had insider action. Within one day, you know, it pumped up to a crazy candle to all-time high, and then everyone started selling off. Had like a little rally, and now it's pretty much dying off. But this is definitely a chart that looks like there was some manipulation, some people pushing it, and those are the charts that I generally am looking at for trying to find good people to potentially copy trade, right? Okay, so I can see this guy $311 bought, and he's the top trader because it's based on profit and loss. Do I think that this guy, there's a potential with him? I do, because you could have technically bought in $311 when it was low right here. So there's a chance that he didn't snipe it, and there's a chance I could have followed him. It looks like he did it within 2 transactions. So that seems like it's something worth looking at. I also look like when they have a little bit of unrealized, meaning they're still holding the coin, because snipers are usually in and out. So I'm going to look at this one regardless. And I wonder if you still see my screen when I go over here. Are you seeing my next screen, or are you still seeing Dexscreener?
Oh, it's working.
It's working, yeah.
So you're seeing SolScan?
Yeah.
Okay, dope. That is good. I don't, like I said, I'm new to doing the video chat, so thanks for bearing with me and kind of guiding me to make sure that I'm doing what I'm doing properly. Okay, so I want to look into this guy. So I can see he's traded Dog with Hat, AMC, GameStop, Radium, Shark Cat. Looks like he's traded a lot of coins. So it looks like it's not just a one and done wallet. And you'll see what I mean by one and done wallet. But one and done wallets are usually, they got insider information on it. They bought, they sold, they transferred their soul out, and that wallet will never be used again. But I see this wallet looks like it has some activities. If I want to really see that, I can go to SPL transfers. This is where they are buying and selling tokens. So 18 hours ago, he bought something. 16 hours ago, he bought something. You know, we're seeing lots of things happening where tokens are coming in. So I'm going to assume that, you know, based on what I'm seeing, that this is still an active account. So for this, I can't have any information because I just can't get enough information from Dexscreener and SolScan. So what I have to do now, and I don't think you guys are going to be able to see this part, but I'm taking the wallet address and I am going to run it through Zelfi here. I would love to show you like me running it through Zelfi, but I'm just going to tell you guys the results, because if I show you running it through Zelfi, then I have to switch screens again, and it's just going to take forever. All right, so I probably could show you guys. Do you guys want to see it?
Sure.
All right, let me see if I can make it work out, because if I can make it work out with decent ease, then we'll just do that. All right, we're back. You can see Telegram.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're in the bot now, and I'm taking that first address because we saw that it had some activity, and we want to see if it's something that's going to be good for us. And it's a grind.
I only see the list of the people inside the call.
Oh, then let me do this, and you should see it now.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
There you go.
Thank you for letting me know. I'll get more like in the flow of doing this as I do it a couple times. Like I said, I'm just learning how to do it, so I appreciate you guys bearing with me. I'm trying to make it as great for you guys as I can, so you guys can really see what's going on and make the most of this information.
No worries, man.
Okay, so the scanner is probably being overloaded right now. Good timing. All right, anyways, here we go. Good stuff. Right as I was about to give up, it went. All right, so we're seeing with this. All right, well, you guys know what to look for. And, you know, seeing this wallet right away.
The guy from the token you showed.
Yep. And look at the flags, though.
The hell?
Didn't sell. How many times he didn't sell? 94%.
Looks pretty shit.
Yeah,
What's that?
the hell?
Yeah, so going through these tokens on Dexscreener, the difference between that and like obviously the profitable tokens, with the profitable or the potential wallets, with the potential wallets, it's filtered, right? So like you're getting tokens that have good potential, and that's why they're called potential wallets. Sorry, you're getting wallets that have good potential, and that's why they're called potential wallets. But with these, like, you know, it looked initially like he would be a decent wallet, but you know, we look and it turns out that that's not quite the case, right? So it's quite a grind to do the Dexscreener, and that's why they brought out the potential wallets. But I'm going to show you guys how to make it easier. We're just showing you guys an example. I'm going to go back to this to share the screen on this again. Okay. So what I generally do...
Do you mind if I ask a question?
What's that?
This guy made 150 plus solana in the trade that we saw on this token, CME we've had. So that doesn't seem to be reflected on what it comes out from the report, doesn't it?
It may not be, but I think it is, because we also look at, yeah, he made this money from the GM with Hat, and I think it could have been on this day. Like, we could look further into SolScan and see what day it actually was on. But he's losing a lot of money too, right? So like he lost 16 SOL on this day, made 8 SOL on this day, but then he proceeded and lost 10 SOL, went and lost 8.3, 3.96. And you don't know, like, on that day, like, that he made all this money on GME with Hat, like how much money he went and like blew on other projects trying to see if he could hit another banger again, and he was tossing 10 and 20 SOL at them, right?
That would be crazy though, because that's like 170 SOL that he made on that one trade, and to lose that all, damn, that would be so bad.
Man, it happens all the time. I'm not even gonna really get into it too much, but like I've lost way more than that.
But the average price, it's 1 solana.
Yeah, and that makes sense. Like his
And
average
it's
buy.
what we see on CME we had,
Yeah,
but he only bought I don't know 3 tokens since then. That's what is shown in the report. So the report doesn't seem to make more sense. Maybe it does, and it's not easy to see. That's what
well,
I'm asking.
the report shows the last 10 tokens, and it doesn't show GME with hot on it. So like it's safe to assume that he had been making other trades, 10 other trades prior to that. That's why like we don't see that token on the report at all, because it only shows the last 10.
I had a question because I was one time I was like inspecting a guy, and it looked like he used some kind of contract, like to hide his transactions and stuff. Like, is that a thing, or was it just something I misread?
Use a contract to hide his transactions. I mean, people. I'm not really familiar with that. Like, I know people send money to like certain wallets and stuff to like just move it out, and they'll still be like sniping and whatever with like their sniper wallets, but moving it to a central wallet is what we would call it. But I'm not too familiar with this other aspect that you're talking on in terms of using contracts to hide tokens.
Okay. Yeah, no worries.
Okay, so we have still quite a bit of time, decent bit of time with each other. So I want to make sure that you can make a good use of this next part that I was showing you. So we already took the time to go through profitable wallets. We spent more than an hour doing that. But again, I thought it would be a good idea to show you another way that a lot of people are collecting wallets. But it's also such a grind because, you know, we just looked at that wallet and you saw how much time it took to just look at that one wallet. If we weren't on the voice call, maybe like obviously it could be done quicker. And that's what I want to show you guys. So I want you guys to understand when you're coming here, you're only going to get up to 100 traders. So if you do want to grind, I'd consider doing all 100 traders. That makes sense to do. Okay, and I'm just going to go through the second one and see if it makes sense to do. I mean, this guy bought 3,400 and he bought it in 11 transactions. I don't absolutely love that he bought it in 11 transactions, but he made good money and there might be some potential there. So I'm going to do the exact same thing I did with the first trader there. And I'm going to look at his SPL transfers. That's where I often go first, just to see if there's still activity. Yeah, and we see he's trading Gummy in and out 2 days ago, trading electronics arts out. He might have bought that before, made a trade within the day and stuff. Okay, perfect. This one's good. I can see there's activity here, so it's worth me looking at. But what I would do if I were you guys is I wouldn't do what I'm doing now. I wouldn't go look, get an address from here, and then go to the soul scan from here, and then go here, look at this, and then get that address, and then go to the scanner, because it's just going to cut down your workflow time. What I do recommend is opening up a new tab and creating like a Google Doc sheet. And if this is one of the wallets you wanted to check, paste it in that Google Doc sheet. Okay, and then we're back. So we're already back again. And we can look at this one. Okay, 222, 2 transactions. Okay, it's possible he's still holding some. It looks like it might be worth a look into. So I am going to pull it up and look into. Okay, I'm going to look at his token holdings, SPL transfers. Okay, there's some activity. There's stuff going on. He's selling stuff. All right, cool. This is something I'm going to look at. So I take it. Again, imagine this is now my my Google Doc sheet, and I post it here. Perfect. So I already got 2 gone. So we check this guy. We check this guy. This one, in cases like this, I don't really like to check because he bought 21,000 and made 40,000. Like, he made a good profit and loss. But for me, for likely copy trading him, it's not likely going to be of great value. I mean, you can look, but I often skip between these because sometimes I'm analyzing 2 or 3 tokens in a session. So I'm moving on to the next one personally. Again, you can do that if you want to. This guy had 48 transactions and 18 transactions out. I can look at him, but that's kind of, again, like a red flag. Like, I'm not looking for someone who's buying like that. These are like, can be volume bots in cases, MEV bots in cases. So I don't like to see crazy transactions like 103, 48. Like, I want to see like 2 or 3 transactions in. 1 transaction in is good as well. Okay, so I'm moving on to this guy for the reasons that I gave you. And this guy looks okay. 719 he bought in 1 transaction. He's still holding some. He made a good profit and loss, so he sold a decent bit. This one's kind of worth my time. I can instantly see that he's holding some Mu, some Pundu, in decent quantities in thousands of dollars. So I'm going to go to SPL transfers, see, okay, he's had some activities. 3 days ago was his last sell. But he's got some things going on here. Looks like he bought Aki. So again, this one, it's worth my time. I'm going to check it anyways. I'm already here. I pulled this up. It's quick. I'm adding it to my Google Docs list. And at this point, we have 3, right? So I have to find where I was, 719. Go on from this one. See, 5, right away. Don't bother checking something like this. This was definitely either a volume bot, not likely even a volume bot or a MEV bot. So I think it was a MEV bot in this instance. So I'm going to skip this one. So we're moving on to this one. All right. So now we're already at number 9 on the list. So it has bought 5K, 14 transactions. I mean, again, I don't love it, but if I'm feeling like might as well on this day, now he holds 18K Agami. Hey, this guy might be good. Even though he did buy in a lot of transactions. I'm already here. I already kind of looked into him. I'm going to copy this address anyways and put it in my Google Doc sheet. Okay. So the reason I wanted to go through that with you, and we'll pull more results and go through them, because then you'll really get to see like the difference between doing this approach and doing the approach of the profitable wallets. Let me take you guys back. Now we can look at this screen. It's fine. Or actually, let me just close the screen for now and talk to you guys, because we went over quite a bit. Okay, but what I want to say is that you could see through me looking at that one wallet. Again, I didn't go through and look through them all. I gave you guys a basis on how you guys want to start going through that list. So you're doing it as quick and as efficiently as possible. Again, you want to make a notes or a Google Doc sheet, get the address from the Soul Scan, paste it, and then go back and find another one. Once you found a huge list, let's say, out of those 100 wallets, only 30 of them became suitable. Then you have 30 wallets that you can go forward and check in the scanner, because you need to use the scanner because you don't have any information on those tokens. You don't have any eyes. But we can see just based on the first one we looked at, we're like, yeah, that could be a banger, but we're looking at the wallet. There's huge red flags, and it's not good at all. So the reason I want to bring that up is not because what I'm showing you isn't effective. It's just because you got to know the difference between the profitable wallets, which are filtered for you. They're filtered to be wallets that are already looking good, versus this technique, which is more of the brute force method. If I call the profitable wallets like easy or low hanging fruit, meaning it's kind of spoon fed to you. It's right there. They're all pretty decent. You're not going to find any wallets like this within them. This method it is more of a brute force where you just have to grind. I mean, you have to find good tokens that, you know, have people that make good profit and loss. That's the first thing you want to look for when you're doing that. And then you have to do that process to go back and forth into SolScan, finding the address and then pasting it to a Google Doc sheet. But again, if you spend 20 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day on the profitable wallets, it should only take you that long to go through the new ones, because you do it every day now, because you're actively looking for wallets to copy every day. So you already went through yesterday. So today you don't have to go through all of them. You can just click the second link and you go through the new wallets. All right. You should be able to grind through that in 20 to 30 minutes when you know what you're looking for. And you guys are getting really good at doing that. We went through wallets today. You were looking at them. You're like, no, that doesn't look good. We're moving on to the next one. We were doing that together, but you guys can do that. But once you do that, you spent your time doing that and you've already looked for wallets for that. If you want to continue on your search, this is another method for you guys to continue on your search and to find profitable wallets. And I hope I explained it in a way that makes sense for you guys to do it efficiently and effectively. But understand that, like, it's not going to be like the profitable wallets where you're scanning every wallet and it looks good. Most of these wallets are not going to look good. They're going to have low win rates. They're going to have lots of flags. There's going to be stuff wrong with them. But there is gems hidden in there, so it is worth the time if you're ready for the grind.
When you can have a question, when you check on Dexscreener, do you never, or do you always check the transactions as well of the wallets you check? Like when they buy and when they sell, do you check that at all?
Well, yes, sometimes I will check it, but a lot of times I'm going through that list, and I'm not going through that list like thinking, you know, oh, I want to pick perfect wallets, because I know that like it's like more of a needle in a haystack. I mean, it's like the more quantity you get and the more you scan through the bot, the more good wallets you're going to find. So when I'm doing it, you could see the process I did it. Like, I didn't look at like overly a lot of information. I was just like, does this wallet look good enough? Yes, it does. Perfect. I'm going to paste it. Because who knows,
Gotcha.
if I just like start skipping some wallets because I'm like, they look like, they look like this and that could have been the wallet that ended up being like a gem wallet, good to copy. So I just try to go through it as quickly as possible. It's not fun. To me, at least, it's just a grind to go through and do that. But it's a grind that pays off, just like everything I tell you guys. I mean, if I tell you something and I tell you it's something I do, I tell you it's something that's worthwhile, it likely is going to be a grind in some instances, meaning it's not hard to do. I showed you guys, like, it's very easy to do, but just tedious work. It's work that takes, a long time, and you might not get any reward from it. But for the times that you do it and you do get the reward, you'll understand why I show you, both different methods of how to do these things. Because once you start getting the rewards from both these methods, looking through profitable wallets, looking through Dexscreener, you're going to start being like, yeah, it may take me an hour to do these things a day, and I may only allocate an hour or two to do it and say that's what you have time to do. But it's paid off now, because like this one wallet I found made me, 14 SOL over the week. So if it took me an hour a day, I pretty much worked 7 hours during the week, but I made 14 SOL off of it. And this guy's still printing me money. It's worth my efforts.
Yeah, okay. You probably saved me a lot of time.
I had a question. Is it possible to take the token contract and then have it ran through ZelfiGuru, and then that bot pulls out the possible profitable wallets?
At this moment in time, there's not that exact bot, but as far as development purposes goes, it's something that is known to be in development plans. So I would say, as far as that goes, just understand that the development team is pushing out things as quick as they can, but they're also pushing out things where, they're working, they're making sense, they're usable, and trying to push out things that they think or the consensus the users want the most. So that is going to be something that I do think if it comes out at any time that it will be very valuable. But right now, you're going to have to do the old grind method that I'm telling you about.
Got it. Thank you.
No problem.
I had a question. So when we get the profitable wallets each day, and then some are tagged, alpha or scalper or sniper, or fresh, right? Is there a way what determines an alpha wallet?
An alpha wallet generally is a wallet that seems to have alpha trading activities, meaning like almost insider trading activities. Like it's hitting pretty big on things. It's not taking many losses, has a high win rate, low lose rate. So it seems like it's an alpha or an insider wallet.
So wouldn't it be good to just go through those wallets, and then because it seems the most profitable?
Yes and no. It is good to go through those wallets for sure. Just like the rest of them. For me, I kind of filter out Sniper because it's not a part of my strategy, so I can quickly just skip those. But the scalper wallets, I have a few scalper wallets that I follow, wallets that are labeled scalpers, and scalpers really trade differently. But I told you kind of the main basis of how they typically trade. But just for the alpha wallets, it's hard for an alpha wallet to remain an alpha tag. Like I have a wallet that I've been following for over like a month and a half now, and if I put it into ZelfiGuru right now, it'll still say alpha tag because he's like remained that. But when you first see these alpha wallets, majority of them are coming up with low data, meaning that they have traded for 3 to 5 days and may only have 3 to 5 trades, entries. So with that, it becomes that you found a wallet that's potentially good, but it doesn't have a lot of data for you to know that like it's going to continue being an alpha wallet, or maybe it's like not going to even be used anymore because it was used to hit these couple plays and now they're recycling out to a different wallet. So when you do find alpha wallets, what I would suggest doing, and it's so easy to find them because ZelfiGuru sets it up that way, sets it up so you can literally go to profitable wallet, search, you do hashtag alpha, and you're able to pull up all the wallets that are alpha and just flick through those, right? And now when you find one, maybe it has low data, that doesn't mean you exclude it, because we talked about this earlier today. We found wallet instantly that had low data, and we're like, you know what, it looks okay. Like maybe this one would be worth tracking. So in a lot of cases, these alpha wallets might not be good for long term. They might just have hit a lucky run and slid into the alpha wallets. You know what I mean? Like they just hit 2 good trades in a row, or they slid into the wallets because it's a start of a true alpha wallet, where I've got alpha wallets from the profitable wallets where I typed in alpha, pulled them up. They didn't have that much history, but their history was enough for me to be like, I'm going to give this person a shot. And then I still hold that particular, at least one of those alpha wallets are still good for me.
Nice. What do you use to track wallets? Let's say you're not trading them, but you just want to watch them. What do you use?
To be honest, everyone, maybe I'm going to say everyone here. I would say everyone here might know better than me, because I I don't usually track wallets. I usually either put them on for a small amount, and that's how I track them, or I just put them on and give them a go because I'm confident enough with my like abilities now to see if a wallet is good for me to follow. And am I wrong in some cases? Yeah, but in most cases, no, I'm not wrong because it's not just me looking. Like I said, I have a friend who, whenever we find a wallet, we analyze it together and we'll pull it up together. We'll look at the trades together and all that stuff. And once we determine that like it's looking pretty good, we'll just put it on. So it doesn't really leave room for me to put stuff in a tracker.
Gotcha.
But if you ask the question in the flood room, either someone will get to you or I'll get you an answer so you can find a tracker. I think it's good to have, especially like, you know, starting off, you're trying to find wallets. You don't know if some wallets are good, but you want to keep an eye on them. Like, I definitely think it's a good tool to have. What's everybody's plan for the weekend? We're finally at Friday. You guys doing anything cool?
Looking for some wallets to copy.
Nice. Good stuff.
After yesterday's stream, man, I did like a manual one. I made €5, man. I was happy.
Oh, good stuff. Were you saying you were a little bit worried to jump in?
Yeah, I'm the manual guy.
Yeah, that's okay, man. I'm glad you're back here again and still like, you know, learning because like I think yesterday's video call was really good, really informative. There's a lot of information dropped.
Yeah.
But I feel the same way about today. So I feel we're starting to build up to past general knowledge because when I started speaking with you guys within the first couple of days, if you guys were at the first couple of them, I was really going over general knowledge, a lot of motivation too, like to get you guys in the mindset of like, wow, if I do this, like I could really set myself up because he's done it and he's working at it. He's setting himself up and he's showing us. So like it was a lot of that, but now we're really now starting to dive into information and look at wallets and talk about strategies and stuff like that. So I feel like we got all of the like, you know, baby steps out of the way. And now we're starting to really dig into what is going to make us, you know, set up for the bull run that's coming.
Definitely, man.
So
I was just wondering, like,
go ahead.
Most of us are pretty like new, and like for testing amounts, like just take €1 maybe and solve them, or because you're probably gonna set the transaction like the fees very low, and then trade with like €1.
Yeah,
maybe.
do your fees to like your fees just have to make sense if you're only trading €1, right? Like if you're trading €1, maybe your fees like just do them at like 10 cents.
Yeah, I mean €1 that's like enough to test, right?
Any amount is enough to test because you're still gonna get a very good idea. So between testing €1 and testing 10 or 20 euros, like I don't feel like there's much of a difference. But at the same time, you can do your gas at whatever, because if you're testing just €1 and you're okay with like knowing you're getting eaten in gas a little bit, then you know it's for the purpose of testing. So
exactly,
I mean, yeah, but I think it should be fine. I don't see why not.
Sorry, say that again?
I think it should be fine. I don't see why not.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
No problem. All right. Does anyone else have any more questions? Want to talk about what they're doing for the weekend? Have any more questions about grinding out some copy trade strategies over the weekend? All right, good stuff. Well, I'm really happy with how today went. Sorry.
No, just fine. I just laughed. What? Yeah, forget it.
We're all good, man. No, I'm really happy with how today went. So we spent quite a bit of time, over an hour looking at profitable wallets. I think between yesterday and today, we're starting to get really good at analyzing them and knowing what we're looking for, knowing when we can skip them and stuff. You got a brief introduction into Dexscreener and how you can start looking for wallets there. So now you guys have a little bit more tools on your belt, right? Because you guys should be very sufficient right now in going through the profitable wallets, and we'll continue to do that every day because there's new ones coming out, and we can find interesting ones for you on the voice chat to start tracking and start adding. That's great. But yeah, now you have the ability to be able to find wallets to run through ZelfiGuru on Dexscreener and have a little bit more tools and resources. So for the next chat, we'll go over something different. Mainly today, I wanted to make a focus on the profitable wallets, and we're going to do that every day going forward for at least a little bit of time while we start off the chat, because again, repetition is what's going to make you guys successful at being able to spot things and spot them quickly and make the best use out of your time. But I appreciate everyone who came through. I appreciate everyone who asked questions. And I hope to see some familiar faces again at the next voice chat. Thank you for being here with me, and enjoy your weekends. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Thank you,
Yeah,
you too,
thanks for your
man.
insights.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Later.